From down 19 points, heading toward one of their ugliest losses of the season, to Anthony Edwards sinking this game-winning floater to pull off a crazy comeback win. That's what the Minnesota Timberwolves just did to Wemby and the Spurs. This was absolutely one of Minnesota's best wins of the season, but really, to be more accurate, it was just one of their best fourth quarters of the season. To pull off a comeback like this one, everything kinda needs to go right on both sides of the ball, and really I think Minnesota started their avalanche with their defense. They kept San Antonio to 5 of 20 shooting with 7 turnovers in those final 12 minutes, and that built them the platform to go and win this game. From the first possession of the final quarter, you can see them ratchet up their defense. McDaniels cheats under this down screen, which kinda gets him hung up on the handoff, so he literally pushes Gobert into a switch, turning McDaniels from the on-ball defender on Fox to the low man rotating at the rim to combine with DiVincenzo and force a turnover. And for the first few minutes of this quarter, this was all that Minnesota had. Their offense was still stuck in the mud, but they seemed to find life through their defense. I've spoke a ton this season about these late switches and how important even a contest like this can be to helping stop a great scorer like Fox, but there's also going to be times where those late switches in pick and roll coverage just aren't beneficial. If Gobert overcommits up to the ball here, Cornet rolls behind him for easy points. Bones needs to get over this screen to make that the right decision from Gobert and force a tough look to keep this defensive momentum rolling. And again, they needed every single defensive effort here because at this point, 2 minutes into the quarter, they still can't score. But they do have a Jaden McDaniels, and when he's lurking here in defensive transition, you can keep stacking winning plays on the defensive side of the ball and just wait for Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle to get back into the game to boost the offense. And first possession with Ant back in, they go to their horns out action with one elbow screening for the other. Now you open up this huge empty side lane for Ant. Multiple defenders react by rotating to the rim, and that cracks open 2 shooters with one defender straddling them and a wide open corner 3 for their best catch and shoot player. And now they start to seem like they have it rolling on both ends. Now there was a threat to this momentum when Rudy Gobert recklessly closed out on a Wemby 3, then bumped the ref, got teed up, and gave the Spurs 4 free points and the ball, but it was Julius Randle who gave it back to them on defense. He gets through this off-ball screen to stay attached to Wemby, and instead of letting him settle in here at the elbow, he first pushes his catch spot out another few feet to here, then he just refuses to be moved, refuses to bite on the fakes or the footwork, and bullies the 9-foot alien into a flopping submission to force a turnover. And like I've been saying, great defense breeds great offense. With this momentum, it's not really a surprise that Randle finds his way to the free throw line after a downhill attack from McDaniels on the next possession down the floor, and it's not really a surprise that Donte DiVincenzo has the stones to yank the inbound and walk back into a corner 3, and it's no surprise that Minnesota kind of felt inevitable at this point. So then it's back to just Ant bending the defense. They want to put 2 on him off the ball screen, and again, now these 2 defenders are overloaded with Reed, McDaniels, and Randle, and eventually they use it to get to the rim and get more free throws. That's how you execute those outnumbered situations with a defensive monster like Wemby out there on the floor. Because even with Minnesota in this rhythm defensively, where they have McDaniels rotating at the rim and causing havoc for cutters and drivers, Minnesota still have this Wemby problem to solve every single possession offensively, and that might be the hardest puzzle in the league to solve. I mean, just look how Wemby orchestrates these switches on defense over and over again, calling out those switches so he can be the one who is sitting in this low man gap, warding off Ant's drive. And sometimes the only answer to a one-man defense is to have a one-man offense. And look, that is great defense. There's a reason Wemby doesn't want to give up these switches. When he switches up here on Edwards, he might be able to contain him, but what he can't do is then leave him. So when Naz Reid finds a matchup that he likes in the post, Wemby can't overhelp down off one of the best shooters on the planet, and that means there's nobody there to stop Reid from getting all the way to the cup. And when he isn't on the floor, there really was still switching issues for the Spurs, and Minnesota just kept exploiting them. Again, the 2 on the ball bends the defense, and when they work that into a ball screen and Kornet switches up with Fox, it does lead to a great stop from Kornet, but it leaves Randle under the rim with Fox in the henhouse, and it's a putback and a foul. This fourth quarter was a masterclass on how to manipulate switching defenses from Minnesota, and yet on the other end, they were on a string. They executed their switches in ball screen defense, they were on point with their help on Fox, and no matter what, they always had McDaniels just waiting there in these gaps like a mini Wemby, able to both run a shooter off the line and pancake the drive off the backboard. This was an absolutely insane defensive quarter from McDaniels. And from here on, it just felt like Minnesota had the edge in execution. And what they've turned to so often this season for a quick hit of execution is Ant in the post. If Wemby is lurking here at the rim, that turnaround jumper has become a counter-strike for Ant against rim protectors all season long. What hasn't been a staple for this team though is Julius Randle pitbulling stars on defense like he did in this game. It's a great stunt from Reid here to prevent a drive, but it's Randle who should get the credit for just walling up the alien again and forcing another miss. And look, sometimes a team is going to need some luck to pull off a win like this. If you're a little late to rotate out to Harrison Barnes here, there's every chance you get that one between the eyes. But if you don't, you better find a way to turn it into points at the other end, just like McDaniels does with this funky pull-up jumper to avoid the rim protection. And finally, after all of this back and forth, we get the final 2 possessions of the game. It's funny because I'm not sure Randle posting up here inside Ant's driving lane is actually the right move, but after Ant freezes Wemby off the bounce, this screen that Randle turns it into is super impactful. Kornet is too far away to affect the floater, and it's a pretty easy looking bucket in the end. And I know every single Minnesota fan was scared of Wemby and Fox on this final shot, but again, Randle pushes Wemby's catch spot way out and just does what he's done all quarter to him on the shot. And then 2 players fly at Fox to contest a jumper, Wolves win, hell of a comeback, and one of their best wins of the season. If you want more breakdowns like this one, subscribe to the channel and drop a like or a comment to help the channel grow. Thanks again for watching.